Good evening. April 10, INCOM meeting called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I sent out, since everybody's here now, I sent out a few emails today. One had an attachment. Hopefully people were able to read it. And in case I forget, tomorrow night there's a Board of Selectmen school committee meeting at the Norton Middle School at 6:30 if anybody would like to attend. Beyond that, on to you, Mike.
The first item is to review the planning board recommendation for the article for next Wednesday's special town meeting and take a vote on that article.
Okay. Can I speak? Why?
Good evening. Joe Cogliano, 202 Bay Road. Unfortunately, I had a video that I wanted to show you, but it's not possible tonight. You'll be able to see it at the town meeting. I think you'll find it entertaining and interesting. What I wanted to do was just kind of pull everything together. I drew up a list of things that I think will help to make this understandable as to how we got to this place, where we're at. Essentially, this is what seems to have happened over the last few months. An out-of-state solar company came to the town to make a proposal to put in a renewable energy site in exchange for $4 million, $200,000 over 20 years. It obviously sounded like a good idea. It involved renewable energy. That's very popular, so I can understand the interest. The solar company had a timeline that needed immediate action due to the closing of the incentive program window. Because of that, the town acted with a bylaw to support the project without knowing all the facts behind the project because of the press of the timeline. The project was proposed. The neighbors opposed it. The planning board listened to the solar company and the residents. So it took information from the solar company, it took information from the residents. Considerable impacts were uncovered and unanswered questions remain. The Next Sun project helped us all to learn and understand why the January 14th amendment was incomplete in some ways and overreached in others. So it was incomplete when it came to things like AC versus DC, the AC being the regulation, the DC being the way that the energy is taken at the panel. Also to do with things like batteries, where they're not allowed in our bylaw. That's an issue that has to be resolved. In terms of overreaching, it overreached because as of right in residential areas is not required to be part of the Green Communities program. We're already on our way to being part of that by having as of right in commercial and industrial. The project was ultimately denied by the planning board on April 2nd. The purpose of this proposed bylaw is to protect the town by returning to the previous bylaw while a new bylaw is developed for the fall town meeting. Now, the planning board is supporting our amendment, and it's also supporting the proposal that we made that we work together to come up with a new bylaw for the town for the fall. Even Mr. Di Giuseppe mentioned there were a number of issues that need to be resolved for us to have a good large-scale solar bylaw. Now, some of the planning board members stated that the Next Sun project was a learning process, and if they had known what it involved, they probably would not have supported the January 14th amendment. I want to also point out that in relation to what Mr. Units had raised in the last meeting was also raised by the planning board, that being the issue of the definition of as of right, which was in the amendment, and that being the language involving small-scale solar that was also in that amendment. We are working with the planning board to propose modifications on the floor that if necessary, we'll take that into account. So Mr. DiGiuseppe is speaking with people in the state to determine whether or not that definition as of right is needed, since it was already as of right in the original bylaw. And we'll be working with the board to make sure that at the town meeting that there is a motion to add that small-scale language, if that's what the board would like. We ask for your support for the amendment at the special town meeting to protect the town from new as-of-right projects that may be proposed in residential areas before a new bylaw can be presented to the town in the fall. That's what we're trying to do now. And that's what I think the wisdom is also seen in that by the planning board, and that's why they're supporting us. So I hope you will as well. It's the right thing for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. Explain to me what as of right means, because you said you want to protect the town from other as of right. How is that?
As of right means the town has no discretion. As of right, if you have as of right to do something, like say with a Form A lot, you have the right to put up a single-family home. That means that the town cannot stop you from doing that except for certain issues involving the site plan approval process, and it's basically just making sure you check all the boxes that you have to. But they have no discretion to stop you. With a special permit, they have the discretion to say that you're not meeting what the town wants or expects in this situation. So the standard is much higher for the special permit than it is for as of right. There really is a fairly low standard for that. So that's why it's such a big deal, because if we don't, there's a couple of things that could happen. If the Attorney General comes back and declares that the amendment as it was passed on January 14th was not proper, which they should, but you never know what the Attorney General is going to do. If they come back with that, then we're back to the original bylaw anyway. And then there's the issue of should we go forward with this? So we have to wait to see what happens there. But without that, let's assume that the Attorney General says, no, what happened on January 14th is okay, and we're going to go, the town can go forward with that. Well, then we have a problem from the town standpoint, because that means that large-scale solar is as of right in residential areas, which means that another out-of-state company can come forward with a project that wants to put in a huge project in a residential area. And I don't think, considering all the issues that have to be worked on over the next couple of months, I don't think we'll have time to put forth that new bylaw in time to stop that kind of a project. And it would just be people, the planning board, spending a lot of time trying to understand these things and present to the board why that one shouldn't go forward, as we had to do this time. So it's really a situation of trying to protect the town until we get this new bylaw.
Just to, go further, what you said, how would a project like this be allowed in a residential area to begin with?
Which project?
Solar projects.
Well, if it's as of right.
Well, that's what I'm
Okay, let me say this. There is also one issue, though. Under the bylaw, it is as of right in residential, I believe it's over 5 acres. Commercial, I think it's 2 acres. So what would have to happen is you'd have to have segments of property that are at least 5 acres in size, and then that would be considered as of right, and a developer could come in and work with the landowner or buy the land and put forth a project. It would be much harder to stop that than it is with a special permit. So that's what this is all about.
Okay.
Did I answer it well enough? Okay.
Do we have anything written, or is there somebody here from the planning board tonight that we could hear from them? I mean, I'm not contradicting anything that you've said, but I would like, since they made this judgment last night, we talked about it. Is there anybody here to speak on it? Do we have it?
You should have
from
it.
them?
You should have it in your packet.
Where?
There's a letter in the packet.
Page 3 of the packet has
In
a
it-
letter.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just answer Mike's question on as of right. As of right, you still need to go through the site plan review process, so if someone wants to propose a large-scale solar, still have to go through site plan review where they can put conditions on to protect neighbors and where the, to take care of blocking sound noise and screening, things like that. So there still is the site plan review. You can't just build it.
Not a pass, in other words. standards, yeah, okay.
No, but you have to admit, Mike, it's a much, much lower standard than a
Well, I'm
special
not
permit.
saying, I'm just saying that's that's just the requirement, site plan review.
Mike, how many properties pertain to this new vote bylaw that we voted on in town?
The one that currently exists?
Yeah, but is there, how many properties would pertain to this new bylaw as amended?
I can't tell you that.
There was something I was going to raise, because in some of the or some of the literature we got, they talked about 163 abutters. That's not correct. The term abutter applies to pieces of property, just what you're talking about. The fact that I and my wife both live in the same place doesn't mean that we're two abutters. The abutter reference, and I've had several dealings with planning board and zoning board in relation to this. Abutter is the number of pieces of property.
Okay.
My guess is that it isn't 163, and the only way I could do anything this evening to substitute it was to look at the list of the signatures that you have on that letter that came forward. Lots of people signed. I went through and looked at all the addresses. The addresses only came to 39, as opposed to the many, many names because there are 2 people or 3 people living in a place.
Sure.
So the number of abutters is not 163. I don't know what it is, because this obviously list was not complete, but it's far less.
I don't think all the abutters signed that. That is a group of about 40 people.
I understand that they were signing it that way, but I was just trying to find out, because in other places, they had referred to 163 abutters.
I think that might have come from the list, the mailing list that the town had to notify the abutters by mail, and whatever the rule is that they use for determining who's an abutter. It might come off of
I bet
that.
it isn't 163 pieces of property on that.
300 feet of the bogs, 163 houses.
Okay.
Pardon?
Within 300 feet of the bogs, there's 163 houses, we're told.
163 houses had to get notified of
Okay,
the tax on-
all right, thank you.
I,
Thank you for the information.
just to follow up, I was thinking more to individual properties where the solar project, Cranberry, like I think we mentioned Slattery property at one time.
thought.
Yeah.
So this really amended bylaws can be applied to 4 properties or 4 projects in town?
With solar on cranberry bogs.
Yeah.
If cranberry bogs are active cranberry bogs,
Right.
it can go on those.
Yeah, there's some specific rules regarding that, yeah.
That doesn't preclude someone from creating a cranberry bog and later, that's why it's high. I mean, someone could create a cranberry bog and then want to put solar on it. So you can't say that it just applies to one cranberry bog. It applies to any cranberry bog that exists or could be created in the future.
Does the planning board's ruling have any effect on the project?
Well, if the Attorney General approves the bylaw as stipulated,
On the 14th?
right,
Yeah,
that would give, the planning board voted against the project.
right.
So I would guess that the developer would have standing to then appeal the planning board's decision.
But maybe I'm misunderstanding, but as we sit now, whether or not this passes, because contract has been signed since the January meeting, that still is in effect, because unless the state rules negatively, that will remain in effect even if we pass this. Am I correct on that?
Right, the project that already was filed is under the previous bylaw.
And will not be affected by this unless the state
Unless
turns
the state turns it down.
Right,
turns the whole thing down. So even if we vote this now down, that doesn't affect this particular project's going forward.
right, and the planning board has denied that project, so it would be up to the developer if they want to appeal that decision based on the bylaw that existed at the time.
They had the option to deny it, but it still is in a legal limbo at that.
Yep, gotcha.
There's also another problem with the project, and that's that the project requires a predetermination letter from the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources and the DOER. It's unlikely that they're going to get that because the maximum limit for capacity under that program is 2 megawatts of AC. Their project is 6.2 megawatts of AC. So they're above that limit. They're trying to use the battery to get around that, but I think they're going to have a problem with that, among other things, because our town bylaw doesn't allow batteries.
They could always decide to cut back to the 2-point-something million for now.
You would hope that or think that, but the problem is there is a requirement of about $1 million for the interconnection agreement with the grid company. And in order to cover that in their project, they would probably have to have at least a 4.5 megawatt project to cover that charge. So I think that it's going to be hard for Nexsun. I think that project's going to be hard to come to fruition. I think that what's more important here is that although people meant well by this and they thought this would help the town, I can understand it completely. In going through this Nexsun project, we learned so much about the uncertainties and the problems and the issues that have not been resolved in our own town bylaw that need to be to make sure that these projects are properly approved going forward. And so what we're trying to do here is take us back to a point where the town is protected until the planning board has time to put forth a new bylaw in the fall. It makes complete sense. And as I said about the issues that Mr. Units raised, we're willing to address those on the floor with the planning board at their suggestion if that's something that they think is necessary. So.
Okay, comment and then a question. I think the thing still that bothers me the most about this is that since the company that is putting in the panels is apparently also buying the property and therefore is going to operate, the whole idea behind this, and it's very clear that the idea behind this is put forward by the state and so forth, was to help cranberry farmers get by, not because cranberries are failing, but too many of them are being produced, basically, in this country. But to have a situation where the solar company buys the farm and then puts up its panels and, I guess to conform, probably hires or leases out or hires somebody to run the cranberry part of it and says, do what you can, just make sure it's at least running, that sort of defies the whole purpose of it. The other question that I have, which is not related to this one at all, it does relate to the battery issue. Because reading this stuff as I could quickly this late afternoon when I happened to come across what you'd sent us, Bill, in the subject of batteries, the argument was that batteries, and I'm quoting, not recognized in Norton by the bylaws and therefore are not allowed. I find that language very questionable because the fact that we don't say that they're not allowed doesn't prohibit. I mean, the fact that we don't mention them would indicate to me that we didn't have a concern and they could go ahead and do it. I think there's a real legal issue there to say that because Norton's bylaw does not mention batteries, therefore somehow they're not allowed. I don't think that would come out, that would hold up.
May I address that? The basic.
Don't look at me.
Let me help to address that. The basic issue then is what was the intent when the bylaw was created around 2016? What do we know to be the reality of the situation? 99.5% of solar projects in the state of Massachusetts don't use batteries. Therefore, the intent could not have been in 2016 to involve batteries. The battery incentive program began in the fall of 2018. And
the language of the law,
Yeah.
bylaw says this, whatever might have been the intent, it's going to be read by the language of the law. We all know that. And I'm just saying, I don't find that article to hold personally,
Okay,
to hold water. I do have problems with this other thing that I.
thank you. My understanding, I'm not an attorney, but having spoken to attorneys about this, my understanding is that if it's not specifically mentioned in the bylaw, it can't be assumed. And it's just not there, it's not there.
Can't be assumed that it's not allowed.
It cannot be assumed to be in there if it's not specifically stated.
But it can't be assumed to be disallowed. They don't have to mention batteries. If they said no batteries, then it would be assumed. If we
Well,
forget-
put it,
Or if batteries are illegal, that would be an assumption.
Put it another way. Let's say we're talking about marijuana, and it's about where you can grow marijuana.
Yeah.
If you said you can grow it in industrial areas, but you didn't say in residential areas, does that mean that you can put it in residential
No,
areas?
because we specifically said only in industrial areas,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
We specifically outlined it as that.
I understand,
What
but
I'm
I
saying
think if you ask the town council,
I'm not a lawyer, but.
well, no, I'm just saying, I think town
The
council,
absence of something doesn't mean necessarily that it's not allowed.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
in
That's what
in
Paul-
general conversation, you're 100% right. But what I think when it comes to these municipal bylaws, I think it's the other
I'm
way.
sure at $500 an hour, the lawyer will tell you whatever you think you want to hear,
You're probably right.
okay?
Thank you.
Mike?
I would hope that argument that you bring up, Joe, doesn't
We
continue
do
to be
think the
brought
same.
up. Because in the bylaw right now,
Yep.
it says all accessory or appurtenant structures, including but not limited to equipment shelters, storage facilities, transformers, and substations. So,
A battery would fall under.
Battery would fall under.
Actually, our attorneys have looked at that, and they're very confident that it
it
doesn't.
doesn't mention inverters.
Yeah.
Do solar facilities have inverters?
It does mention inverters somewhere in there, I saw it in there. It does mention
under
inverter.
the accessory appurtenant
Right.
structures.
But it doesn't specifically say batteries, and as I said, our attorneys have looked at that, and they're confident that they are correct, that it's not allowed because it's not in there.
I don't, that's not really pertinent to.
Huh.
It isn't pretty.
Proposal, so I'm just saying.
I know.
Yeah.
I was trying to, help us be accurate, but I don't want to argue about it either.
I don't know.
Is there anything else that could be helpful
Nope.
here, that I could offer?
Nope, I think we're
Thank you very
all
much.
set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Act on this tonight?
Is this something we want to vote on? If so, Paul?
I have my reservations about this, but I think the situation has been clarified. And I personally, my expertise is not in this area by a long shot. And I rely on this is what the planning board is supposed to be experts on. They have, in a sense, reversed themselves and are now recommending this. That bears a lot of weight with me. And I understand the arguments, so I would be happy to vote on it tonight, and I would vote to recommend this. So, you want a motion?
Aaron?
The swaying factor for me is that this would not have any effect on the current project that is proposed.
Yes, yes.
And that that will, as we discussed at the last meeting, succeed or fail on its own merits.
Exactly.
But with no other projects of this nature bearing down on us in the immediate future, an opportunity to reassess, and I don't see a problem with it. I'm ready to vote and I'd be for it.
Same thing, Paul, Bill, for the same reason I agree. It's not going to have any impact on our present project. That'll fail by itself
Or succeed.
or succeed. We'll do whatever's necessary.
Somebody
So
will make a motion.
So,
I'll make a motion to accept to recommend the article.
Second.
hearing a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion on this?
The motion is to recommend the article, to recommend.
Well, Yeah.
To recommend what they're
Amendment.
Yeah,
asking.
what they're wanting to do.
Yes.
What they
Which
want.
is what the planning board is now going
To
to.
making sure the
That's-
motion's right, I know how to vote.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
it's the planning board we usually go with anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Very rarely go against what they say.
Important to me.
How you doing? George Aventitas, 207 Bay Road. I live right across the street from the Bogs. Been there 17 years. I'm not a townie, but my two boys are. We're for solar, but this thing is so huge. It's a power plant. It's tough to see this every day and be scared for your kids and stuff. And I know $200,000 a year for this town is good, but it ain't worth it if you look at it. There's other ways. I believe we could do it. And if this was an acre or two, trust me, we wouldn't be here fighting this. But this is so big, and I've gone to the meetings in Dartmouth. I'm sorry, I listened to the videos in Dartmouth. The same company and everything else, 43-something acres they had. And they didn't trust them. If you were at every meeting, you would notice that next son wasn't prepared at all, over and over and over and over. And that's no over-exaggeration. There was no trust, and you saw that the same thing as Dartmouth, their board. They didn't trust them to do the right thing. And I want you guys to think about that, because we all want to make money, but we all want to be safe, and we all want our children, our water to be safe. You know, and it's for me, it's my kids. That's the truth. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say anything else. But we want it all be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. It's okay, a motion, a second, been made. Seeing no further discussion, guess I'll take a vote. All those in favor, which would be in support of
The amendment.
the amendment, raise their hand. Yes, that's unanimous.
All right, moving on. Just, I included in your packet tonight, one of the things that you warn us about often here is there's an article there from Plainville. And in Plainville, the free cash problem has surfaced. And I know every year you caution about using free cash, and Plainville doesn't have the free cash they thought they would have this year. So last year they used $1.7 million in free cash to balance the budget, but they're only going to have $400,000 this year. So,
That's what can happen.
and we used $1 million last year of free cash. So just
Yeah.
something that sooner or later, we have to be prepared for. If we could do the special town meeting articles first.
Yep.
There's 4 articles listed there, and all 4 of those, we don't need any action taken. That's Article 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Let me get to that page. Special town meeting.
Chairman,
Paul?
I move no action on Article 4.
Second.
Motion and a second, no action on Article 4. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Paul?
Chairman, I move no action on Article 5.
Second.
Motion and a second, no action on Article 5 of the special town meeting. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Chairman,
Paul?
I move no action for Article 6.
a motion and a second, no action on Article 6 of the special town meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Article 7. Article 7, I move no action.
Second.
Motion and a second for no action on Article 7 of the special town meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Okay, on the annual town meeting, if we could take up the capital improvement plan. And that is Article 10, the FY '20 capital plan. And you have,
Excuse me, Mike? I apologize for interrupting. I'm very sorry. I just wanted to say thank you very much. I have to leave, I want to thank you very much. And I also wanted to ask a question. Does every finance committee do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, we do.
Before they start? Is that the law?
No.
No.
For years we did.
Just done?
We didn't do it for a long time, but we did start about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm very proud that you do that. I'm
Yep.
very impressed by that. I'm so thankful.
Thank you.
That you do that. And thank you again for supporting us. And
We never
I
did.
apologize for interrupting.
thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So, capital plan, and you have it in your packets. I know previously we had talked about the capital plan, but since we last presented it, there's been an amendment to the plan.
Okay.
What article is that?
Article 20, is it, I believe?
The plan is in the packet. The article is, the warrant is not.
Excuse me, Article 10, I'm sorry. And it's in your packet, and if you go to the second page, the change in the plan is at the top on the second page. The school department is looking to do a facilities master plan of their fields, and they had received a quote from Gale Associates. They have others out there, they're waiting to get back. But $19,020 was a proposal that they received back from Gale Associates that seems very reasonable. And so the capital committee voted to add that to the plan.
Okay.
And this is for all the school fields, or is
High
that
school.
just behind the high school?
Behind high school and the Yale,
And the Yale, the big area.
yeah, the whole complex back there.
Where the fireworks are.
Yeah, they'll be looking at, the main thing is, looking at the football field, and the track doesn't meet the standards to,
Yep.
they can't have any meets there because they don't meet the standards in
They
order
can
to,
have dual meets. They can't.
They
can't have
they can't
state
have
competition.
Conference meets and
Yeah.
things of that sort.
Yeah.
The track is itself in very good condition.
So they'll be looking
Redone
at,
when we redid the high school,
Right,
but it
right.
was redone in its original size, which is a 6-lane, not an 8-lane track, and they now
Yeah.
require an 8-lane track for any, multi-school meet.
Mike?
Years ago, I was on an athletic complex committee that basically did that. So is there any record of what's already been done in the past?
I don't know, but I don't know how long you did that, but I imagine back then there wasn't turf fields, so
Oh, well,
that'll be something that'll be looked at.
yeah, well, I was, it just seems like we keep regurgitating the same thing
See,
over and over. And
Yeah, the problem they have right now is, all right, it was okay when you just had football, and then I know, like, way back when I was in high school, and soccer started, we used to hate those soccer people playing on the football field, because they tear it up. But think about it, when it was just football, I mean, we never practiced on the field, we practiced away from the field, so it only got used so many times a year, so it was in great shape. But now they're playing football, soccer, and lacrosse on the field, so it has no time to rejuvenate. So this year, they're playing down at Camp Finberg right now. That's where lacrosse is playing.
That's right, the lacrosse team.
So they want to look at, possibilities, possibly a turf field, and see what that,
The way fields are used for the sports these days.
Right.
You almost have to have at least one field that's turf. You really do.
And they are, I don't know what the latest and greatest on artificial fields are, but I read and hear a lot about other schools that went from the natural to the artificial, and now there's all this, ooh, artificial's bad and blah, blah, blah. So,
and that, I'm sure that's something they'll be looking at.
It probably just doesn't pertain to the fields. Probably, I know the specs have changed in the stands as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff is completely changed.
Absolutely.
You can talk to the college, because they just built their first artificial field about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they lit it, and it's in use. It's in use all the time. The baseball team uses it in March and so forth when the regular, to practice things. You don't have diamond on it, but they can at least do something outdoors.
but
It's been used steadily.
there's a certain material, I don't.
Oh, I know, it's the little black
Yeah.
beads,
Yeah,
are
yeah,
they
yeah.
bad for you? And I know a lot about that, but I don't, the more I know, the less I know. It's one of
Yeah.
those,
Exactly.
So-
But I don't want to, go down that path, and then in 5 years, we can't use the field
No.
because,
no.
so hopefully we're taking that
All
into
the fields
account.
Hopefully that's what the
Nobody
19,000 's
said
for.
they can't use them.
So if you look at the last page now, the total capital plan from all funding sources is $1,670,085. $532,525 will come from capital. The ambulance reserve fund, $132,500. The dog fund, $23,000. Sewer surplus, $287,560. And water surplus, $694,500.
We have to move each line item, do we not?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
I make a motion to move the capital improvements Article 10 as follows. Total capital request, $532,525. Total, and following from the ambulance fund reserve, $132,500. From the dog fund, we should call it something else, but $23,000. And under the sewer, from the sewer to surplus account, retained earnings, $287,560. From the water surplus, retained earnings, $694,500, totaling $1,670,085.
Second.
Having a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Okay, I'll move over here, if I can, sit at the table to go through the budgets. But just before we do that, if we could look at some dates. So just to let you know on the timelines, you have to have everything finished for the special town meeting by April 24th. So it means that you have, after this, 2 more meetings to finish up on the special. The annual town meeting, should finish everything by April 29th. So that would give you another week on that. Because the town meeting warrant has to be posted with all your recommendations by May 1st. I have informed all the departments about my recommendations for their budget, so everyone is aware. I have asked the schools, the department, the library, and public safety to come on April 22nd, the next meeting, and they have all said they'll be here, so we can do those budgets on that night. You also have to have your public hearing, and you have to vote to set the date for that. And my suggestion would be that the public hearing be on April 24th at 7:15. That would be a Wednesday.
So then we have to have that, do we have to have that 2-3 page, whatever, summary ahead of that, or
No.
no?
No, you just, it's just to
Yeah.
open it up and see if there's anyone that happens to be in the audience that would like to comment on the budget. And
Okay.
the slide over here.
Mr. Chairman?
Aaron?
And that would take place, that would be part of this meeting?
Yes.
That opens?
Yeah. Right.
Right, okay, so I remember this years past, we open it, we count to 10.
Yep.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
And just overall in the budget, just to let you know that we are still using that 600,000 of free cash. That we hope we don't have the Plainville issue in years to come. And we do have, we're using about $500,000 more in local aid. And the assessors, since our first edition of the estimated operating revenues and expenditures, looked at new growth and was able to increase that. So with that, we're able to increase both the general government and the school budget. The school budget, I think the 4%, I know I had talked to the superintendent in the fall, and he said he was working on a 4% budget. So we were able to provide the school department with 4%, which is probably one of the largest increases, I think, that we've ever proposed at the May town meeting. And remember, that 4% is on top of last year's budget. You approved a budget in May. There was money added in October, and there was money added in the spring, and that 4% is on the budget with those added. So it's a significant increase. And I know I did talk to the area town managers, and they were all around 3% increases. So we're fortunate that we're able to do that.
4%'s good. Great.
The first two budgets are two articles. Again, we did the capital going back up to the water and sewer.
It's on the annual.
And underwater,
Where the hell is it?
Article 6?
Article which?
6.
let me get to
I
that.
think I'm right. Is that right, Art? Is Article 6?
Article 6 of the
Of the annual, right?
annual
Got it.
The water budget is, the water enterprise budget is Article 6. And the recommendation for the water budget is a total of $3,681,234. And the makeup of that is under personal services, $866,819.95. So $866,819.95. Under interfund operating transfers, $349,358. And under charges and expenditures, $1,000,000 $203,000. And just a reminder, the interfund transfers are based on the percentage of the water budget as a percent of the total town budget. And that's for certain services that we provide to the water department, and they pay direct, full costs for their health insurance, retirement, things like that. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement.
Can we just move the total? Can we just move the total, or do we have to move each item?
You have to vote
item.
all three of those.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
I move for Article 6, the Water Department budget, personal services, $866,820. Indirect expenses, $349,358. Other charges and expenditures, $1,203,000. Debt service, $1,262,056. Total budget, $3,681,234.
Peter?
So, Mike, in our books, we got a nickel moved to different places.
Say that again.
So the books have 95 cents on the personal services and a nickel on the,
Oh, they rounded up.
Or down?
Is it rounded up? What do you have?
different than what you just said.
I'm rounded up by
Which item? What-
20.
So 590, it is 1,262,056.05, spot 05.
Yeah. I moved 1,262,056.
Yeah, not with the spot 05. You missed the 5 cents.
Does that
You
matter?
want the nickel?
But he added
But you added nickel.
Don't
I have
sweat
them.
the nickel.
No,
Well,
don't worry about that.
I don't know, I'm just trying to, like, if we have to do each one separate, then we ought to be exact.
Do you want me to put the nickel in? I'll put, no.
No.
We don't.
We don't have
just-
to?
We don't go to, it's like the
Okay.
feds. If it's less than 50 cents, you don't count it.
I'm in finance, you count everything.
Is that the only one?
Well, no, you rounded the other guy up, so you gotta take a nickel off.
So then we're
Total's
even.
the same,
Then
it's
we're
okay
even.
with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, the total's.
Total's fine,
Sorry.
but since we were doing the details, I thought it had to be a
The
good,
total, and the total is?
Is the
Same.
same.
it's the
Doesn't
same,
The
change.
total is the same.
yes.
3,681,234.
234,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
So I have a motion.
He moved it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second. You need a second?
I need a second.
You got it.
Thank you. Having a motion and a second, regard to Article 6 of the annual town meeting for a total amount of $3,681,234. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor? That's unanimous.
Okay, and under the sewer enterprise budget, I'd recommend under personnel services, $239,635. Under charges and expenditures, $1,145,800. And under debt service, $217,213.
Total.
Did I miss indirect expenses?
Oh, I'm sorry, $96,450.
Thought I missed it.
And the first one was 239.
635.
Okay, thank you.
And 30 cents.
The bottom is 1699.98.
Right?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
I recommend Article 7 as follows for the sewer enterprise account. Under personal services, $239,635. Under indirect expenses, $96,450. Under other charges and expenditures, $1,145,800. Under debt service, $217,213. Total, $1,699,098.
Second.
So a motion and a second. Before I go any further. So the difference between last year and this year is an additional, in personnel services, is an additional body?
Under personnel services, what we're, in water and so, we're looking to hire an assistant water and sewer superintendent,
Okay,
and that position is split proportionately.
okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Aaron?
I think we remember Frank telling us that, especially with the new plant, water treatment plant coming on, that there were going to be additional bodies needed
Right.
to help man that, and we'll still cover all the bases around it.
I think we may see more after that plant gets in operation.
Likely.
So a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 7, annual town meeting for $1,699,098. Will you,
Oh, you vote- oh,
Are you ready to vote? Yeah?
all, well, I just did.
You did.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Thought I did,
You did.
kinda did.
Okay, in the budget, if we could do, under the fixed and shared expenses, 711. And fixed and shared is near the back of your book.
Mm-hmm. 711 being maturing.
Maturing debt, yep. Under maturing debt, maturing principal on long-term debt, $1,502,097. That's it?
That's it? We're doing one at a, okay.
I can't move those three, I gotta abstain.
Chairman,
Paul?
maturing debt, 711, I move $1,502,097 under maturing principal on long-term debt.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
Abstention.
Abstained? One abstain.
And under interest, 750, we have interest on long-term debt, $534,733. Interest on notes, $74,538, for a total under interest 750 of $609,311.
Paul?
Chairman, Article 750, interest, I move 609,311.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second for interest, 750 for 609,311. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Thank you.
And under employee benefits, 910. Personnel service, $2,936,745. Other personal services, $8,231,109. and charges and expenditures, $500,000, for a total under employee benefits, 9, 10, $11,666,854.
666, did you say?
$11,667,854.
All right, misunderstood you, sorry.
Mr. Chairman?
Aaron?
So this is everybody's health insurance, this is retirement benefits.
Right. The top, the $2,936,745 is retirement. The next $8 million is, that's health insurance, and then the next is Medicare. Medicare, Medicaid, I always get those two mixed up.
But that's for everybody, including schools.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. The schools are probably 70% of the health insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's $500,000 up from last year.
And what was the 500 grand for?
Medicaid, retirees, health insurance.
Amy?
Can I just ask a clarification question? In the headers on all of these pages, it says expenditures through 12/31/18. Is that's this fiscal year, so I'm just making sure that I'm looking at the right thing. We're halfway, that's the halfway point. So halfway through, we've spent significantly more than half on this particular line item.
That's
Yeah.
because they're probably,
We spent.
certain things are
Okay,
billed at
right, I'm
certain
just
times.
making
The
sure.
retirement, we pay up
Oh,
early, we get a discount. And the health insurance is paid monthly or quarterly. And then same with the retired employees' health insurance.
all right, so we've paid 3/4 of this for some of these line items. Okay, just making sure we're not going to run out of money.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Knock on wood.
We don't pay them.
Well, it's far less of a jump than last year.
Not bad.
Quite a bit. Okay, anyone?
Anthony, you got it.
Chairman,
Paul?
I will move employee benefits, $11,667,854.
Second?
Motion and a second, employee benefits, 910 for $11,667,854. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 1.
It seems weird to say this is a good year when you went only up $500,000 instead of last year when it went up $1 million.
We're fortunate the health group did really well this year, so the health insurance didn't increase a whole lot, so that was good.
That's good,
good.
given where we're at.
Under miscellaneous 940, fuel expense, 115,000, and charges and expenditures, which is all our other insurances, 629,585.
Is that fuel for
It's the next one, Paul.
heating, cars, everything, or is it just heating?
It's all our fuel for all the vehicles and cars, cars, trucks,
Thank you.
heating oil.
What do we base our car cost on per gallon?
It's, we bid through Sursage, and there's a multiplier factor that it's whatever the wholesale price of fuel is times a whole. Rick would know more than me as far as that. But it's, we're part of Sursage, which is a number of communities that we bid together on that.
Well, I guess I'm asking,
So-
because as we see the prices going up.
Right.
Are we,
Right.
Yeah.
We don't get hit by that. We're pretty steady.
It's locked.
it's locked for the year?
It's usually, the wholesale market fluctuates. It's a commodity, and then usually the the bids are awarded by a fixed cost over wholesale.
Right.
So say $1.25 a gallon over wholesale cost or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. That the whole works. You can all the others.
Missing unemployment compensation, you skipped over.
So this is,
744, 585.
yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Paul?
For miscellaneous, we have gas, and fuel oil, diesel, 115,000, and then basically insurance policies is what this whole other long list is. For 629, 585, and move a total of 744, 585.
Second.
A motion and a second. Miscellaneous 940 for 744,585. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Mike,
Did we do unemployment?
No.
Did we miss it?
Just
No, we
answer
didn't
that.
do unemployment.
Because we,
That was what threw me off.
Yeah.
Under unemployment, 75,000.
So no increase from last year.
Hopefully, we were hit this year, we had quite
We
a
had
bit.
to put some extra in.
A lot of layoffs in the cafeteria, and so hopefully next year, but if we have to, we can add in the fall.
Chairman,
Paul?
move 75,000 unemployment compensation account 911.
second.
Motion and a second for unemployment compensation, 911 for 75,000. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained?
Okay, Southeastern Regional, 306, $1,172,402.
Where are we now?
306.
Which is,
What's the number? That was
the number we got here is
1,172,402.
2,402.
Yep.
You want to go back to making a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
for Department 306 Southeast Road, $1,172,402.
Second.
Motion and a second for account 306 Southeastern Regional, 1,172,402. Any further discussion?
Only just to note what we already have been told, that the reason for this increase is that there's a four-student increase in our enrollment from last year.
Yes. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Next item, 308, which is Bristol County Agricultural, and the recommendation is 30,000.
What happened to the 100,000?
They're not ready
They're
yet,
not ready yet? Good.
maybe next year.
That's a good.
Is that next year or just next fall?
Next year, supposedly they're not gonna be going out this year borrowing, so.
Okay.
And just, if people don't remember that, what that question is Bristol County Aggie's doing a building project, and our assessment on that building project is gonna be $70,000 a year.
For how many years?
20 years.
Yep. Just isn't starting this year.
No.
Okay.
Is that just based on, because we're in their footprint, or is it based on people going there, or?
To be honest with you, no one can figure out how it is, how they determined it, but it has to be based on, it can't be based on the number of students because that would fluctuate, so it has to be based on the population of the communities in their region.
So if we had no students going for 10 years, we'd
Would
pay
still be paying it.
$70,000 a year for 10 years.
Yeah, we're part of the, we're
Just
part of the region.
saying,
And that's the big argument. There wasn't that much notice that they were voting on that, and they re-voted a second time, but really wasn't well publicized.
And they're expanding the school, or what did they do?
I haven't seen the plans.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
For Department 308, Agricultural School, $30,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for account 308, regional agricultural, 30,000. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
And so going back, 132, the reserve fund. Recommending we fund it as we did this current year, 150,000.
Mike, what's our fund balance now?
I did bring that, Tom, but
Okay. Just curious.
We're still over 100, I think.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Reserve Finance Committee 131. I'm sorry. 132. Reserve Fund, $150,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for account 132, reserve fund in the amount of $150,000. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
And do you have in your packet, so you don't have to keep flipping, do you have the, all the budget summary in front, so you don't have to?
oh, yeah. We weren't there first when we talked about the article.
In your book, I think. If not, you'll have to. So the next item is 151, legal services. And I'm recommending the same as this current year, 70,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Legal Services 151. I recommend $70,000.
Second and the question. My question is this the year that you're in negotiations?
Yes.
70 going to be enough?
It should be. The last few contracts, we've only used legal counsel when we have questions. We don't have them present during the negotiations.
Okay,
So it saves us
okay.
quite a bit of money.
So you think you can get by with that? All right.
Motion and a second for account 151, legal services in the amount of 70,000.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
I think the next one comes under the treasurer's office.
The next item is 158, tax title foreclosure, 45,000.
Does that come under the treasurer's?
Does.
Jim,
Paul?
I'll move 45,000 for 158 tax title foreclosure.
Second.
Motion and a second for 158 tax title foreclosure in the amount of 45,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Oh, I know, I abstained.
Whoop.
Sorry.
One abstention.
Tom, you're killing me.
My hand automatically,
Killing me.
my hand moves.
You got to assign who makes the motions and who seconds them for the rest of the night, and that'll be easier.
That's what I used to do.
162, elections, under personnel services, 162,510, $630. And under 162,570, charges and expenditures, $24,742, total budget of $25,372.
Amy?
Does this include town meeting expenses in this line item?
Well, this is
And-
fun.
and special
I know we
elections.
have a lot.
Well, I
this
know,
year, But she doesn't really have town meeting expenses, except printing ballots, which she's doing this year, because everyone volunteers. So any equipment that we need as far as speakers or things like that, we take out of another expense
Okay.
account, so she doesn't have to pay for that.
Peter?
So Mike, this is going down this year.
Yeah, not as many elections as there was the previous year.
Okay.
We had,
Aaron?
Would when we have a particularly large town meeting, as has happened, for things like, the high school debt exclusion, where we've got, now we're setting up simulcast, that's where town meeting gets expensive?
that doesn't come out of this budget, no.
Where does that come?
That, a lot of it, the cable company will donate a lot of it, and then the other expenses will come out of selectmen or town manager expense account.
Thank you.
This is just straight election workers.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
elections 162, personal services $630. Charges and expenditures $24,742, a total of $25,372.
Second.
Motion and a second for elections 162 in the total amount of $25,372. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
176 Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development, $3,583. They're very reasonable, minimal increases each year.
Yeah. Well worth it.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
Regional Economic Development 176, $3,583.
Second.
Motion and a second for Southeast Regional Planning, 176 for $3,583. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
195 Town Report, $2,000. That's for the books. If anyone wants to take a box on your way out, please do.
Is that the minimal we can do? Is that
Yeah.
what it comes down to?
Yeah, and we're getting close, as you can see. In 18, it was $1,807.77, so, but,
Where's the box?
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
Town Report 195, $2,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for 195 town report, total of $2,000. Bob?
I have one question. Are we mandated to print hard copies?
yeah.
By the
So
state?
we should probably try to work out, perhaps work with our state reps and senators to try to change that. Today, everything's
Right.
electronic. And as you say, we've got boxes sitting
Oh,
out in
yeah.
the hallway.
Always do.
It's ridiculous to continue to print these things out.
Yep.
In my picture, I get older every year.
There's a lot of trees.
So it would be nice, I think electronically it makes sense, so maybe the select will have to talk about that. Maybe you guys can help us with it too.
Okay. Whatever we can get away with.
Who's it dedicated to this year? Anybody know?
Did we already vote on that?
We didn't vote on it.
No, we're going to vote on it now.
So motion and a second,
No, we did. True second, we need to vote.
right, $2,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Next item is postage, 199. Obviously, we have an increase this year, so unfortunately. So we're looking for 37,500, and that's 5,500 more than the current year.
What's the increase for?
Postage went up.
Postage went up.
Yeah,
How much did postage go up?
it went up like
5
5 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went up a nickel stamp.
Biggest
Went
increase
to 50 cents.
ever?
Huh?
Biggest increase ever, or
Yeah,
It went
Yeah,
from,
something like that.
yeah.
what to,
50 to like 55?
50 to
50 to
55.
Forever stamp to a forever stamp. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You need to buy.
Smartest
We're gonna-
marketing plan they ever did were those forever stamps.
we're sending more,
Forever,
are we
yeah.
sending more stuff out too? I mean, this is
I
up
still have some.
From a
17%.
stamp to a stamp.
I mean,
Nothing's forever.
Yeah, we certainly don't send the books out, do
Say
we?
how much you don't.
No.
It says forever.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
Department postage 199, $37,500.
Second.
Motion and a second for postage.
Sorry.
All department, 199,
Postage.
$37,500. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 244, Sailor of Weights and Measures, $2,200. We're just anticipating it might go up at some time.
Yeah, that's, we subcontract that.
We
don't
we do.
Yeah, it's a
Yep,
good
it's a
deal.
great deal with the state.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot cheaper than when we had to do it
Oh,
ourselves.
absolutely.
It's a great
And it's
deal.
gone up $200 over the past 4 years. I think
Yeah.
that,
Mike, what is that?
Mr. Chairman?
The Sailor Weights and Measures, they're in charge of, the major thing they do is gas stations, regulating the gas stations to make sure they're reading properly.
Getting a gallon.
So anything that's measured,
To make sure a gallon is a gallon.
right,
All of your scales,
Right.
Roach Brothers, for example, get
Yep.
tested a couple of times a year.
I remember now, thank you.
Tom?
Mr. Chairman, Sealer of Weights 244, $2,200.
Second?
Motion and a second for sealer of weights, 244, 2,200. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Next, 425 street lighting, 100,000. And you can see that's a decrease. This is the benefit of the solar on the Hill Street landfill, that we get credits, solar credits towards our electric bills, and it goes to the larger bills. Obviously, street lighting is one of them, and so there's been a good savings in the street lighting account.
And is there still that project to
Yep.
look at?
The company that's doing that just completed their audit, and so now we're waiting for an audit report to come back from them. And I've also applied with MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, because they have grants available to help pay for the infrastructure that's needed when we change the lights over, so. And our consultant last week did call them too, just so we coordinate everything with them.
And so that's to change it over to the LEDs? and-
Correct.
And does that report, if we have a street light on the corner of, Reservoir and 140, does that report say, hey, that street light shouldn't be, 200 watts or whatever it is, it should be 50?
They'll do that, yeah. They will look at, and then they'll, when they're ready to start converting lights over, they'll give us some demos to look at before we, because there's different wattages too, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Looms.
And does that include, can't you put like a shade or something on it if it's near houses? So it's kind of like just down and not
As
out?
part of their study, they'll look at that.
Okay.
Street lighting, 425, $100,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for street lighting, account 425, $100,000. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Okay. Sanitary landfill, 438. The recommendation is 13,000. This is for the testing on the closed landfill. We're hoping sooner or later, the engineer's been working with the state to decrease the number of tests, but this is one year that they do have to do more testing, and they test to see any gases escaping. And it's a requirement by DEP to meet the standard.
Chairman, sanitary landfill, 438, $13,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for sanitary landfill, 438, in the amount of $13,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. Under 122, Board of Selectmen, Personnel Services, $59,780, and Charges and Expenditures, $5,423, for a total of $65,203.
And the increase here was that part-time hours?
It was part-time, and Jennifer started late in the fall last year, so it wasn't a full year, and next year will be a full year.
Okay.
Chairman,
Don?
122. Personal services, $59,780. Charges and expenditures, $5,432. 23, I'm sorry. 5,423. Total is $65,203.
Second.
Motion and a second, 122 Board of Selectmen, total amount $65,203. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous.
123, Town Manager, Personnel services, $253,290, and charges and expenditures, $17,650. Total, $270,940.
And the increase in personnel is contracts?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman? Town Manager, 123, 253, 290. On the charges and expenditures, 17,650. Total of 270,940.
Second.
Motion and a second for Town Manager 123, in the aggregate of $270,940. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous.
135, Town Accountant. The recommendation is under Personnel Services, $203,588. Purchase of Services, which is the audit, $25,000, and charges and expenditures, $3,750.
And same question, the increase in personnel is contract?
Contracts for the 3 people in there.
Longevity.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Town Accountant, 135. Personal Services, $203,588. Purchase of Services, $25,000. Charges and expenditures, $3,750. A total of $232,338.
Second.
Motion and a second, Town Accountant 135, in the aggregate of $232,338. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
And I don't know if you saw, the auditors came to the selectmen's meeting. The audit is online if you go onto the town accountants section of the town website. And the auditor wanted to say that you're doing a good job in maintaining 10% of the budget in reserves, which is important to, when we're going out to borrow, that we have that. So between our stabilization account and our capital stabilization account and our free cash.
In OPEB.
And
Yeah.
we should increase that.
We will when it pulls out.
Stop. 141 assessors, personnel services, 146,374. Charges and expenditures, 32,743. But total budget, 179,117.
Was that more hours in that department, or?
No, there's still a part-timer and 2 full-time people.
So the difference between their request and your recommendation?
Is
About $1,000.
They were off in their calculation of their,
Days and-
payroll.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Assessor 141. Personal Services, 146,374. Charges and expenditures, 32,743. Total of $179,117.
second.
Motion and a second for assessors 141 in the aggregate of $179,117. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
And you are right, I forgot that, they were trying to increase hours also, and that's the difference. The part-timer, they were trying to give some more hours.
Okay.
The next one, Paul.
And treasurer collector, 147. Under salaries, $217,468. Under charges and expenditures, $66,325, for a total of $283,793.
Mr. Chairman,
Paul?
I move we recommend Treasurer Collector 147, $217,468, Personnel Services 510, $66,325 for charges and expenditures 570, for a total of $283,793.
Second.
Aaron?
Just noticing a pretty big jump between 2017, 18, 19, 20, and charges and expenditures, and just wondering what those are.
This year, the increase in the charges and expenditures, we're going to a new automated payroll system, and that'll be the cost. They'll come out of the treasurer's expense account.
Peter?
I noticed there's more in your recommendation than the request for the office salaries. It's off by a little bit.
Miscalculation, and
Okay.
a lot of people forgot about it's 52.2 days in the year.
Okay, okay.
Weeks, I'm sorry. Instead of 52, there's,
Okay.
A motion and a, do we have a second?
Amy seconded.
Motion and a second. Treasurer Collector 147. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? One abstention?
155 data processing. The differences here is an addition of a 960-hour-a-year person to be in charge of our technology. We don't have the money to hire a full-time tech person, but this will at least get us to have someone that can work 18 hours a week to address technology issues we have, work on social media and everything else that is big now, and work on the town website and everything else.
Okay. Aaron?
So we can expect to see some additions, improvements in the way we're communicating with the public via those?
Yep.
Great.
So the electronic sign and the website,
Right,
that would
all would be under this.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
data processing 155. Personal services 29,155. Charges and expenditures 246,312.
Second.
275,467.
Second.
Motion and a second for data processing 155 in the aggregate, 275, $467. Any further discussion? Aaron?
Sorry. Just a question. Since the increase is coming from a tech supervisor that's an added person, why isn't that under personnel services instead of charges and expenditures?
It is, isn't it under
It's under 510.
155? Let me go back.
It's going from
Oh,
0
it did?
to
Okay.
29.
510.
Yeah, it is under 510 personal services.
Okay, so that's what the 29,155 is, and then, then we've also got a good jump in charges and expenditures of 36,000, so,
That was,
what was
that was the discussion we had. We had a lot of computers here that were still operating on Windows 7, which isn't going to be operational anymore, so those computers have to be replaced. And plus, when we were, our upload speed was 12, and it should be at least 100. And so we called Comcast recently and
megabytes? 12.
12 megabytes. And so we called Comcast, and then we found out we were on the original speed that they first started with, so we upgraded. But a lot of the switches in the building have to be upgraded in order to increase the speed. So that's some of the work we have to do on that.
I remember that, thank you for the reminder.
Do we have a? I don't think we voted.
Paul seconded, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
In favor.
You guys are freaking killing me. You're just killing me. When he says all those in favor,
But he-
raise your hand if you're in favor.
I thought he was gonna say more.
You know,
In favor of what?
I
You know
thought
what I mean?
about it.
You thought about,
He thought about
thought
it.
about more.
I agree.
Like I already said it.
Okay.
So just to clarify, that was unanimous.
Yes.
Yes.
So that Pat doesn't like come smother me in my sleep when she gets back. Okay.
Okay, 161, Town Clerk. Under salaries, personal services, 510, $121,847. And charges and expenditures, $16,300.
The increase was contractual.
Yep, the step increase for, this.
And the charges and expenditures
Go into, let me see.
took a $7,000 leap.
One of the increases there, we have gone to automated, so you can go online and get the town zoning bylaws, and General Code is the name of the company, and that's $4,500 for that, and that was part of the major increase in her expenses.
That's 60.
Peter?
This is town clerk we're talking about?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just trying to line up these lines. They're very tiny. So, this year, there's a, it looks like the seminars went from like 1,000 to 2,000 to now 3,500.
Correct. Before, she didn't have an assistant town clerk in the position, but she does now. And we want to have the assistant town clerk become certified. In order to become certified, she has to attend.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
Town Clerk, 161. Personal Services, $121,847. Charges and expenditures, $16,300. Total of $138,147.
Second.
Motion and a second for Town Clerk 161, budget in the aggregate of $138,147. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Good job, guys.
171 Conservation Commission. And the difference here is between my recommendation and the department request. I know that there's been a lot of work recently in conservation, and Jen was looking to make the part-time clerk full-time, and probably is a good idea, but something we'll have to look at later. Just don't have the money right now to do that. So the recommendation is personnel services, $99,014. Charges and expenditures, $20,426, for a total budget of $119,440.
And the increase from 89 to 99, is that contractual or is that hours in there too?
Both.
So is the part-time hours going from what to what?
Part-time hours, I believe they were only 16, and it's going to be 18. And then contractual also for the agent.
Okay, but 18 is under.
Right.
Still below that
Yep.
threshold.
Have to get to 20.
Aaron?
Yeah, my question was along the same lines, is, okay, if we're not making that jump from a part-time to a full-time in that department, but we're still going up over 13% on it, what's going on? But it sounds like we've got a couple additional hours and some additional charges and expenditures.
Anyone?
Yep. Conservation Commission, 171. Personal services, $99,014. Charges and expenditures, $20,426. Total budget, $119,440.
Second.
Motion and a second, Conservation Commission 171, budget in the aggregate of $119,440. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
175, Planning Board. Under Personnel Services, $111,284. And under Charges and Expenditures, $5,200, for a total budget of $116,484. And the slight difference in the salary there was calculation error. That's
Chairman?
Tom?
Planning Board Department, 175. Personal services, $111,284. Charges and expenditures, $5,200. Total of $116,484.
Second.
Motion and a second for the Planning Board, Department 175. Budget in the aggregate of $116,484. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
And under 192, Municipal Building Maintenance, the total recommendation is $220,900. And again, the reduction here is electricity because of, so last year, the budget was $240,600, and the reduction is the savings we have in the electric account, because this is one of the larger accounts, and we get the credits, so.
And if the June meeting goes a certain way, can we revisit this and take money out of this building later?
What, the credits? Yeah, there'll always be.
No, to reduce it, to stop putting money into it.
Oh, yeah. So,
Hey,
Yeah, no, no, don't,
I mean,
you're right.
if you vote one, then why waste the money at that point? Seriously.
Freeze for a winter.
Just Band-Aid for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Municipal building maintenance, 192, $220,900.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 192 municipal building maintenance in the total of $220,900. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous? His arm is tired.
241 inspections.
Skipping on
241.
So the jump in the difference is gonna be hours of somebody.
Right. We have not had anyone in the assistant position. So we're looking to fill the assistant inspector's position. So under personal services, $196,656, and under charges and expenditures, $20,050. And the difference between the request and my recommendation is just reduction in salary for the assistant and hours, so.
Were the hours, weren't they above 20?
No.
Below?
Mr. Chairman?
Aaron?
We were talking about the hiring of an assistant inspector, freeing them up to be able to do more inspections?
Yes, so someone's.
One would be dedicated
here.
commercial and the assistant maybe to do residential?
The assistant would do some of the smaller type inspections and would also be available when the inspector is on vacation or whatever.
Right.
And that would free up the inspector to concentrate on the commercial.
I guess I don't understand how we don't, if an inspection needs to get done, it needs to get done, right? I mean, how are we able to do more or less in inspections?
I think from when the building commissioner was here, he's
Yeah.
working many more hours than he's being compensated for, was the impression I got from his
Right, he's on salary.
presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
I got you.
He's on salary, but that doesn't mean he needs to work 80 hours a week to get all his work done.
Right. Okay.
So an example is like Wheaton is doing some things this summer that are going to require inspections on weekends, and he's not going to get compensated for that. It's just salary. So.
So Mike, in the details, they estimated 19 hours at $30 an hour, and you're giving them 18 hours at 25?
Right.
And I'm gonna assume that they can find someone in that.
That's what we're hoping. In that range.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Inspection Department 241. Personal Services, 196,656. Charges and expenditures, $20,050, with a total budget of $216,706.
Second.
Motion and a second for Inspection Department 241, budget in the aggregate of $216,706. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor?
Unanimous?
292, animal control. Under personnel services, $61,949. Under charges and expenditures, $12,700. Total, $74,649. And the difference in salary there was just miscalculation error, and no additional hours. And that's for Brian and his assistant.
Okay. Mr. Chairman? Animal control, 292. Personal services, 61,949. Charges and expenditures, 12,700, with a total budget of $74,649.
Second.
Motion and a second for Animal Control, Department 292, budget in the aggregate of $74,649. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 420 highway, under personnel services, $797,414. Under charges and expenditures, $99,150. Surface treatment, $8,000, and repairs to private ways, $1,000. Total, $905,564.
And the bump was 2 additional people?
2 additional.
Okay. And then the difference between his request and yours was
Salary,
salary of the new people?
yeah.
Peter?
So 1856, that's like compared to $20 an hour, is that what the union wage is? Is that what it is?
Say that again?
You have 1856 and they had 20. Was that just their estimate at the union wage, and that's
Looking to bring someone in at a higher step, but we'll have to look at bringing people in at the lower step.
lower step?
Amy?
So, Mike, earlier you had said that the numbers have changed somewhat. I guess, does that mean that some of the numbers that we have here are no longer accurate? I guess my overarching question is, is everyone getting level service funded from last year? So are we making sure before we do these significant increases that all departments are able to cover the same services that they had last year?
This is, what I was saying, the difference was in some of the budgets where people had calculated their salaries. This is 2 new people in this budget.
Right.
I
But-
think what Amy is saying is, a lot of the departments had significant requests.
Yeah, they can keep they'll still have level services, or some of the changes are these 2 people, and at Council on Aging, my proposal is she would get a part-time clerk.
Okay.
So, does that mean that, for example, the school budget is being level services funded
Well,
for 2020 fiscal year?
the schools are getting a 4% increase.
That's not what I asked.
How they level service their budget is up to the school committee. I don't make that decision.
How much they put into salaries and how much they put into expenses is their business.
Right, but if we don't give them enough to cover mandate increases and contractual increases, then they clearly can't fund their level services from last year.
Well, there's only so much, and, in the last, from 2015 to 2019, the town budget has increased 7.5 million, and 58% of that has gone to the school department. There's only so much money to go around. I can't tell the schools how to spend their money. I can't tell the schools where to cut back. All I can tell the schools is, here's the money. 4% is a significant increase.
And where was the town, Mike? What was the?
4%.
Four, everyone was 4.
Yep. So,
Dr. Beata wanted 6.
5.1 is his level
5.71, I
service.
think it was.
5.1
Right.
is what he said was
5.1.
level service.
So-
So I asked him what the 5.1 was when he came before us, because he had 6 point something, and then I said,
Yeah.
what's the 5.1? He said, that's level service.
so, you know, the school department, the 4% is $997,875. And if you add the increase in their school choice receiving, it's over $1 million.
Yeah, because they get that from the outside.
But just to get back to that other point I was making, from 2015 to 2019, of that 7.5 million, general government went up got 3.86% of that. Public safety, 23.2, schools, 58%, public works, minus 2.18%, debt service, 1.42%, debts, library, 0.66%, employee benefits, 7.26%. And so, just to give you an idea, we've been very, very fortunate that we've been able to provide those substantial increases.
So, even though we haven't gotten through all these budgets yet, and probably won't tonight, I don't know. What you're proposing or recommending is a balanced budget, obviously.
Mhm.
So, the school is making a presentation tomorrow. The only thing I can really say is a budget can always be reopened.
Right.
So we can vote it today, and it takes 2 people to request to reopen it, a motion and a second.
Parity is parity. If the town side is getting 4%, the school side gets 4%. That's called parity. Okay?
Well,
Just
I-
understand, let's put the cards on the table. That's parity.
Well, I-
We only have $1,
oh, I understand that.
okay? So we can't spend 2 if we only have 1,
I understand that.
so.
Mr. Chairman?
But if someone's 80% and someone's 20%, then they shouldn't both go up equally,
Right.
per se. Because one's heavier,
No, I'm not saying that.
obviously.
I'm saying the total bottom line is. that
Right.
Both, the town is being treated to a 4% increase.
Right.
The town,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Aaron?
Mr. Chairman, the town, in terms of the number of, or percentage of dollars that we apportion to the school committee, or to schools, it's a very fair, very wholesome number. It's large. There's this tricky part, and I think, part of what Amy's kind of getting towards is they're dealing with this issue of mandates. And I don't know if that's a discussion for here and now. But, their increase this year is not going, I don't think it's going to cover their sped mandates. So that's, they have a kind of particular problem that I think we all together need to talk out and figure out and help them deal with in some way. I'm not going to suggest that I have the answer to that. I don't think I do. But that's where this sort of conflict of they're getting as much money, they're getting more money than the town side is getting, in a percentage-wise. those mandates and we're giving them I mean, they're getting a good chunk of our overall increase this year. And it's not covering, and they're still gonna have to reduce their general education budget
Right.
by some portion. So they're in it's a tough spot, and we gotta work together to figure that out.
I think it was mentioned, whether formally or informally, last year at this time, and I don't know whether it was people on this board, people from the school committees sitting out there, but it was mentioned, hey, those mandates, maybe they should be handled much like health insurance, as in, that's in a general budget, and then general education is a separate budget.
But it still comes down to, we all have one big mandate.
Right.
Proposition 2.5.
Right.
And this is all we have, and all towns have mandates. All towns have special ed mandates. It's just, unless we could change the laws, which we can't, we have to take the money that we have and continue to provide services for everybody in town.
Right. Paul?
Yeah, the other thing that we've learned over the years is, and the school superintendent has been very plain in telling us this, is that even by July 1st, he doesn't know how he's going to spend his money, because if you're in the school department, if you're a teacher, all you've got to give is a 4-week notice. And the biggest notice that they often get, because other departments and other places are hiring right in that period, is around the beginning of August. He'll get resignations. If they're higher paid, he can hire at lower pay. You know, things move. They move all the time. So to know how much you're going to have for special, you know how much you have to have for special ed. And special ed is going to get funded out of whatever we put in, because you got it. It's mandated. But beyond that, how much you've got and how much you've got in terms of providing general services depends upon whether you're paying somebody to teach the same number of courses in a subject who's an entry level, or somebody who's been with you 30 years. There's a big difference, and you don't know when that's going to happen. And the same thing happens with other sorts of things. The other point is that this is really the first budget we've hit, and it's interesting that this has come up now because we're adding people to the highway department. Every other thing we voted on tonight has been expenses, or has been departments that are so small and so minimally staffed, that they're down to 2 people, 3 people. You can't do a damn thing about them. So, you know, they're going to be, we have to have these departments. We've got to have 2 people in the office or whatever. Nothing you can do. So that's where you're at. So it isn't really an issue. Here, I'm fully in support of this. I think that the highway department does need additional people, has for some time. And if we can put that there this year, that's good. But we'll never fully fund what the schools not only would like to have, but perhaps need. And they find various ways to balance things. And they do have a flexibility that nobody else has in town, because they can move between expenditures and salaries willy-nilly as they want. And they can get outside income from some places, like the school choice. But this is better than whatever we wind up voting for schools or other things, this is better this year so far than it's been for a number of years. That doesn't mean it's good, or even what we need, but that's where we're at.
Well, just to Dr. Bietta's point, and you mentioned it as well, every year state aid is going down from the schools, and that's really where the crippling effect is. It's really not how we're managing and giving the money to the schools. It's a state aid that we have to catch up with their...
I went to a free pancake breakfast at Wheaton College, and the state reps were all there. And I happened to pose the question, what's happening? Why are we always getting the short end on Chapter 70? And Representative Barrow said, be careful what you wish for, because we're such an affluent town now that we may not have reached the bottom of the Chapter 70 funds for us.
Oh, God.
Okay? Even though he said, one of the representatives, Howard said, yeah, there's somebody in a bunker someplace coming up with a new formula, okay? Because I asked them how they figured it out, but that's when Representative Barrow said, be careful what you wish for, because the new formula may say, hey, Norton, you're a very affluent town. You should be able to afford anything that you need. So our Chapter 70 funds may not be going in the direction we'd like them to go, even if they change the formula. And this comes from our state reps, so, and I hope they're closer to it than we are.
And I just follow up with one more comment. The Highway Department, as Paul mentioned, I think, Mike, you mentioned that the budget is actually less than 1% growth in last 5 years?
Less than 1% of the 7 million,
Yeah.
7.5 million increase has
And
gone.
I would think his square miles that he has to,
Oh, yeah.
is increased quite a bit.
It's, the Public Works is minus 2.8.
So their budget has decreased.
Their percent of
Of-
the, yeah,
Yeah,
The
operating.
percent of the pie.
Yeah, so,
It's less than it was for 8.
yep, it was 1,152,292 in 2015, and in 2019, 990,188.
and some of the Highway Department's responsibilities are really public works projects in many ways. So we should have a public works department, clerk of works, and then,
Absolutely. Let me clarify. We talk about trying to help the school department figure out a very particular kind of problem that they have. There's nothing in this budget, as I look through it, that isn't worthwhile and deserved and needed. It all is. And, Mike has said, look, there are departments in here who are getting increases that he would like to be able to increase more, but it's just not there. And I agree. There's nothing in here that's, there's nothing in here to say, well, we shouldn't be putting the money here and giving it to schools. It's needed across the board. I'm not at all trying to say that anything in here should be cut and handed over to schools. I don't think that's the case. I think that we just have a particular issue with their fluctuating general education account based on what SPED tells them that they've got to spend and what they get in state aid, and it's a tough situation.
We have a motion on the floor.
we've got to vote on it.
No, I don't think,
I didn't think we got that
I
far.
don't think.
We never got that far.
Voted on it. But, want me to start?
Go
Make a
for it.
motion?
Okay, 420 personal services, $797,414. Charges and expenditures, $99,150. Surface treatment, $8,000. Repair of private ways, $1,000, with a total budget of $905,564.
Second.
Motion and a second for Highway 420, total budget of $905,564. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous? Mike, one question.
Yeah.
This goes back to Town Road, State Road. Potholes on the intersection up here at 140 and 123.
State.
So you have to, how do they get filled?
Keith calls and bugs the highway, the state highway until they come out and fill them.
So it's not like we do it and get reimbursed. We actually have to wait for
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah, they come out and do this.
All right.
The next is 423, snow removal. Paul, without looking, how much?
Mr. Chairman?
I think we'll go with 80,000 this year.
Yeah.
Well, we're
I haven't got the final number. I'll get that for the next meeting, see how we made out this year.
We know what we're doing here. If we raise it, we can never lower it.
Right.
That's why you don't raise it, because we can never lower it. And it is something that you can fund out of free cash later on. You can, or the state will fund it until you get around to paying for it. And so it's one that you can safely put here in the budget, because you know that's the one place where the state gives you a sort of
deficit spend.
free, a hand, in the sense that when you need it in the spring right away, you can get the money from the state, but then you either pay them back that year, as we usually do in the spring at the special town meeting, or you carry it over into your budget for the next year as a deficit that we have to pay. But there's no point in raising it, because then you never can reduce it.
You're right.
Yeah.
We can lower open.
Just twist the
We
knife.
could lower open. We could do about anything.
Don't stop.
I know what I'd like to do. This is
That being
not,
said-
this is not open. This is ice and snow. It's real.
Yeah.
OPEB is not real. It just is a black hole.
There. Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Snow removal, 423, $80,000.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 423, snow removal, $80,000. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
What do you want to do? Continue or stop?
What do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more?
510 Board of Health. Under Personnel Services, $157,095. And under Charges and Expenditures, $10,625,000, for a total of $167,720.
You want it? You want it?
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Board of Health, 510. Department, 510. Personal Services, $157,095. Charges and Expenditures, $10,625. A total budget of $167,720.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 510, Board of Health. Budget in the aggregate of $167,720. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 522, Public Health Nurse, we're very fortunate to have Donna Palmer, who does a great job there, and her Personnel Services, 510, $34,594, and Charges and Expenditures, $10,250.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Public Health Nurse, 522. Personal Services, $34,594. Charges and Expenditures, $10,250. Total budget, $44,844.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 522, Public Health Nurse. Budget in the aggregate of $44,844. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 541, Council on Aging, as I said, this budget would add a part-time staff person And that's the difference. I know that Council on Aging was looking for a full-time staff person. That's why you see the difference between the 88,540, 554 and the 76,648 that I proposed. And charges and expenditures, 12,300.
You said 76, did you mean
78,000.
78,648, sorry.
So how many hours will the part-time secretary be? Mike?
18.
18? Great. Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Council on Aging, 541. Personal Services, 78,648. Charges and expenditures, 12,300. Total budget of 90,948.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 541, Council on Aging, budget in the aggregate of $90,948. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 543, Veterans Agent. Under Personnel Services, $89,173. Under Charges and Expenditures, $3,750. Under Veterans Benefits, $230,000, for a total budget of $322,923.
Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
Veterans Agent, 543. Personal Services, 89,173. Charges and expenditures, $3,750. Veterans Benefits, $230,000. Total budget, $322,923.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 543, Veteran Agent, total budget, $322,923. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Under 630, Recreation. Personnel Services, $24,482. Charges and expenditures, $42,482.
Aaron?
What's the jump in charges and expenditures?
Let me get there.
Isn't that the
The pavilion needs it.
pavilion?
Everett
pavilion
Leonard
needs a lot of
Pavilion's
work.
getting
Pool?
some,
Something
oh,
with
they're
the pool.
fixing, there's rot or something at the at the pavilion
Yeah.
at Everett Leonard that needs some.
Yeah, it's, most of this increase
Fixing?
was the stuff at Everett Leonard.
It's building
Leonard.
repairs.
I think
the-
we're tired.
Safety.
Yeah.
It was building repairs,
Yeah.
the trim,
Yep.
all
Yeah,
that.
that pavilion is,
Yeah.
I'm sure, in need of work.
Right.
It's been-
And the safety
Pool
equipment
getting
at the
filled was
pool.
up at,
Oh yeah, the lifeguard chair, a couple
Yeah.
other random things.
Yeah.
I'm remembering.
Wow, that's been
Yeah.
for years.
yeah, the pool I was thinking was
Hey,
up
Mr.
near
Chairman.
our house.
Tom?
Recreation, 630.
Yeah.
Personal Services, 24,482. Charges and expenditures, 18,000. Total budget, $42,482.
Second.
Motion and a second for Department 630 Recreation, budget in the aggregate of $42,482. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you. Did you vote on the public hearing date and time or not yet?
No.
Public hearings, April 24th.
24th you mentioned.
April 24th
At 7:15?
Is that good?
Yeah.
You need a motion or not?
I can make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we hold our public hearing on April 24th at 7:15 in the Selectmen's Meeting Room.
Second.
Second.
Whatever they're gonna say.
We'll let Amy figure that out.
Give you a rest.
I hate you all.
I need it.
He did call me and ask me to put a lot on the agenda because he knew Amy was going to be taking the minutes.
Amy didn't even know Amy was going to be taking notes tonight until like 7:05.
Thank you, Amy.
You did a good job, Amy, I can tell.
It's going to take me as long as this meeting has lasted to sort out this mess in my,
Won't be a
Now,
problem.
do we
Notes.
need to meet Wednesday night?
Next Wednesday.
The 17th?
You don't.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to meet because we voted on it already. Right?
Unless there's other things that come up.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
that.
I'll
It's
let you
one
know if
article.
anything comes up, but right now it's saying you don't.
It's already posted, so
All right.
that's not a big
Yeah,
deal.
it won't be a big deal, so.
Yeah, just,
Unless we hear from you, we'll assume no,
We'll
but it's
assume we're not
posted so
meeting
we
at 6.
could. Okay.
Sorry, what?
we actually
So, a
vote?
motion and a second for the public meeting on the 24th at
We're back.
7:15 in this room. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom?
since it's at least 20 minutes past my bedtime, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Having a motion and a second.
Can I do these next week?
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I retracted, we got to say. We don't want
It'll
to.
be 25
Time
minutes,
out.
Tom.
Mike Vieira's.
It'll be 25 minutes, all
Sorry.
right?
Oh, yeah.
For these minutes, it's hard to point it out, there's an amendment to be made.
Amy's now married to Aaron.
Sorry, Wendy.
You can, no claimers are dependents.
Just in time.
Oh, and I did also notice that
Sorry you had to find out.
somewhere in here Bonnie's last name is spelled wrong.
It's not the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Somewhere.
Here's another copy.
Oh, I got it.
Can we all be Smiths?
Just at the front.
Right?
There's one laying over.
Yeah,
No,
I- I
Sawyer's pretty
declare from now on,
straightforward.
We almost.
It's starting with you, don't you?
Where did that, oh, I know what my problem is. I started the minutes for this meeting.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, in section 5, Ms. Yazikevich, not Yazukevich.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Funny how it doesn't, spell check doesn't pick that up.
So strange, isn't it?
Peter?
Chairman, I recommend we accept the minutes of January 14th as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes of January 14th, correcting spelling and name, last name,
And
Sorry,
the
mate?
adjournment time.
and the,
Yeah, because it says 6:30. That means we adjourned before we started.
no, we started at.
Called over at 6.
We tracked that. Tell you, it's after my bedtime.
It was
Forgot
before
this
the
is
special
this
town
is
meeting.
Before the town meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I'm looking, wait a minute, whoa, sorry, Mike.
As amended.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
So we are not going to see each other again until
Next
Next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
next Wednesday, the 17th.
Well, next Wednesday, I guess I'll let you know,
In the high school calf.
Right.
I'll let you know if there's a meeting, because Mike basically said no need,
Yeah.
so I'll let you know. Otherwise, it's the Monday after.
22nd. Which would be the 22nd, right?
So because we approved that to go on,
We
because
already-
we voted in favor of
Yes.
that
Tonight.
to the thing, there's nothing to discuss.
Right.
Okay, all right.
So, meeting minutes. All those in favor? unanimous.
Wait a minute, I have to abstain, sorry.
Oh, that's right, I
Rick
have
and
to
I,
abstain.
both
too.
of
I
us.
abstain.
Both of us have to abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, who abstained?
Abstain.
Does this have to do with, bedtimes?
Yes, it does. It does. Maybe it's not only me.
It's not, I'll tell you.
We'll cover for you.
It ain't only you.
When are we gonna finish up with the rest of this?
I
Eileen? Oh, good.
thought Mike said the schools
Public safety and the library.
wanted to come.
I wrote it down.
I think it said the 22nd. He had it in his memo here. Wait a
I
minute.
saw it,
22nd, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I think it was in the back.
Yeah, it said the 22nd,
Yeah.
balance of general government, then Norton Public Schools.
So at or after that?
Yeah, well, because then
After
we'll
the
have, but
special.
we'll have some vote on the 24th.
Right.
We'll have a completed budget.
Right.
Right.
That's just a mystery. We definitely can.
Say something.
And we'll still have warrant articles and other things to do at some point.
Right.
Fresh wood, just-
Now I can make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to sadly put this meeting to bed. Any further discussion? Are we sure?
Hope so.
All those in favor? Unanimous.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yikes.